Yes, I would say that it is straight, sweet and simple policy. Why? Because one of the shortest speech by RBI Governor in which he did communicate, if you compare with the last policy, the situation has eased. In fact, he mentioned that supply side pressures have eased compared to June policy, and that reflected in his forecast as well. While on one hand, if you talk about the growth, which is supported by high frequency indicators such as IIP, he has upped the forecast for FY27 to 6.7%. Compared to 6.6% in the last policy. And remember, in April policy, this was 6.9%. So once again, the growth path which has been projected by Reserve Bank of India is on the upward side. While on the other hand, if you talk about the inflation, that trajectory is at least seeming well under control. If at all you see that risk which are still there, which are evenly balanced, and therefore the inflation forecast has been reduced to 5.1%. Yes, there are risks to inflation, but he did point out few of the factors which are supposed to be noted. One, that if you exclude the fuel inflation and the food inflation, the situation is not bad. The core inflation remains well under control, and therefore the forecast for core inflation has been at 4.3%, which is well aligned with the target. Yes, it is above 4% mark, but if you exclude the precious metals, he did mention that the core inflation will also look slightly better. So there are risks which are pertaining to fuel inflation, there are risks which are pertaining to food inflation and fuel-induced sectors, which he did highlight in his monetary policy speech. But at the same time, the situation is not as bad as it would have been, and India is at a much prepared situation. He mentioned about the healthy performance which is there in the manufacturing sector. But if you look at the other side, yes, there is an acceptance that there is going to be a cost pressure in the manufacturing sector as well. Apart from that, if you look at the policy rates, yes, he had kept it unchanged. There is no change in the policy rates. But remember, Eaton's interview in which he mentioned that stance is something which needs to be watched out for. It is kept at neutral, which indicates that RBI is clearly in wait and watch mode before taking any kind of action which needs to be taken by Reserve Bank of India.